I use AI to generate marketing content for my business every single day. Product photos, videos, copywriting, you name it, literally everything. In fact, if you're running a business right now and you're not using AI, you're not only allowing your competitors to have a huge advantage over you, but you're missing out on an incredible opportunity to improve the quality of your work, of your services, the speed that you can execute, and also a great opportunity to reduce costs literally just across the board. In this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm using AI in my ecom business. Now, these tools can be used for virtually any business, no matter what you're running. This is going to be extremely helpful for you guys, but I'm going to show you exactly how it applies to my ecom business. I'm going to show you which tools I'm using for which tasks, because these tools are not all created equal. In fact, they all excel in different areas, whether it's Claude, Chatgpt, Gemini, or even Grok. They all kind of have their own pros and cons. And I've spent a lot of time over the last 6 months figuring out which tools are best for different tasks. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm using these tools, whether it's product photography, enhancing the quality of photos, creating videos, writing copy for my ads, literally everything. I'm going to show you guys later in this video exactly how I'm doing that. But first, let's eat lunch.
Work it out with.
Let's do a number 3 with a Diet Coke.
Medium or large?
Medium's fine.
Anything else?
That's it. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Try to make your driving a little smooth. I know it's kind of impossible.
We're gonna be here a minute.
You said you wanted it busy though.
I did. That's probably a mistake. I'm starving.
You are?
I'm so hungry. Thank you. Oh, we lost our parking spot. Oh, there's an iguana in the road. Look at that guy. All right, guys, now that we got lunch, I just want to show you something real quick and talk about kind of the boring stuff with AI before we get into the fun stuff. I want to talk about what kind of AI content are you actually allowed to use. So there's a bit of, I guess, uncertainty in the industry about what kind of AI content can you actually put in your paid ads. Like, is an AI generated photo of a product permissible? Because it's no longer a picture. It's like just completely fabricated out of thin air, right? It's generated by AI. So can you really use that to sell a product? Or maybe an AI generated person giving a testimonial, talking about your product. Are you allowed to do that? There's a lot of questions that come up that I think a lot of people are not really talking about. So I want to provide a little bit of clarity on the subject. And I wanted to use McDonald's as an example of a concept that's called, in the court system and legality, they call it puffery. Okay, now I'm not a lawyer, but I did my research. Puffery is this. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is a picture of a double quarter pounder with cheese. That burger looks amazing. The patties look huge. I mean, the burger looks just like perfect, right? But when you go to McDonald's, you never actually get anything that looks like that. Let's see, I haven't opened this up yet, so I'm not sure what we're gonna get. But you get this kind of like smashed mess, right? It doesn't look like the photo, but it is still the product that's in the photo. So there's a very fine line between puffery and what's considered deception. So if the photo showed, for example, say it had 3 burger patties on it, but when you buy it, it only has 2, that would be deception. That would be illegal marketing, right? That would be false advertising. So the same thing applies to AI. The rules don't have to change. They actually don't need to put any new laws on the book for AI. They're just going to apply the laws that already exist. Are you being deceptive with your marketing or not? And again, it's about finding that fine line between making your product look really nice and then making sure you're not displaying it in a way that shows features or capabilities that don't actually exist in real life. So you're allowed to make your product look amazing, which is what I'm gonna show you how to do later in this video. I'm gonna show you which tool I'm using for that, how we do it, and do it in a way that doesn't cross that line from puffery to deceptive marketing. You know, some other things that you have to be careful about is the testimonial angle. So if you were to generate like an AI person, you generate a person with AI, which you can do now, and have them give a testimonial of a product, that's the same thing as paying someone to pretend to give a fake testimonial. So it's whether it's a real human or AI, if you're having somebody give a fake testimonial, something that's not a real experience, then that's deceptive marketing. That's illegal. That's, you know, definitely going to be in the radar of the FTC. We can use these tools. We can do incredible things with them. We can shave weeks, even months off of our workflows by using these tools, because it takes forever. If you want to have like an AI, like a UGC creator make content with your product, then you've got to ship them the product. They've got to get it in. They've got to record it. And a lot of times this takes 5-6 weeks to do. So, and then you have to edit the footage. Instead, you can literally just generate this content now in just like 5 minutes. So it's really incredible. But the way that you do it, I think, is important. A lot of people are crossing the line and using AI in very like crazy ways. It's the Wild West out here with AI. People are doing whatever they want, but eventually the FTC is going to catch up, and I just don't want to be the one that they catch up with. So make sure you're using it in responsible ways. You can have an AI generated person talking about a product, you know, discussing the features. You can have them even say like very subjective things, like this is the best burger ever. That's subjective. It's not factual. It's not a testimony. It's just, they're just saying this is the best thing ever, or the most, you know, this is the juiciest hamburger ever, whatever it is. If it's subjective, they don't care. But if they're saying, oh, this is made from the bun is made from a dough that we spent 5 days making, or like whatever it is, if they start making up things that aren't true, then you're going to end up with being, you know, caught in a lawsuit someday, eventually, most likely. So now it's time to eat, and then we'll get into exactly how we're using these tools. They're doing Monopoly now. You have to use the app to play Monopoly now.
What?
You have to order with the app, and then it's all digital. There's no like actual stickers anymore. You remember the little stickers that you'd peel off, right?
Yeah, they've always given me a QR code in my
No, you're old enough to remember. Don't give me that. Don't give me that crap.
Maybe when I was like 3.
I didn't know they switched to making it all digital. That's stupid. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. Now that I've had my cheat meal for the week, and now that you guys have a little bit of an understanding of where that line in the sand is for what we can actually do with AI, the difference between, you know, pure deception and just puffery, making things look nice. Now that you guys kind of get a grasp of that, have a grasp on that, we're going to dive into my favorite tools, exactly how I'm using them, some simple steps to execute, things that pretty much anybody can do to enhance their business, their operations, and obviously their marketing. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the workflow starts like this. We're going to find a proven winning ad that's being used for a similar product to your product. Okay. So if you're selling, like I said, shoes earlier, if you have scaled shoes in the past and you have a winning creative for shoes that has worked well for you, then you can use that for this, okay? Or you can look up some competitors and look at their ads library and try to figure out which creatives might be scaling for them, and then you can use one of those as your winning static ad, okay, as your reference image for this part of the process. And then you need your product that you're trying to create new ads for. I personally don't like to get into the image generation process for products that are not proven yet. We just use the content that's already available online for testing. And then once a product passes the testing phase, we will then create new images for that product to be able to scale it higher. Image generation, while it can be an incredibly useful tool, it is also potentially a huge time suck. It's very easy to just like have an entire day slip by because we're tinkering with prompts and trying to get the perfect photo, and then and like you just end up, it's very easy to waste a lot of time messing with these tools. So hopefully this workflow will streamline some of your processes and actually make your time useful and valuable when it comes to this stuff. All right, so you have the product that you want images for, and then you have your reference photo of a winning creative. You're gonna take that winning creative, well, the one that you think is a winning creative, and it could honestly just be a nice photo that you wanna replicate for your product. So like you could go to Ralph Lauren or something and find a really nice picture of a jacket. Say you wanna make new pictures for a jacket that you're scaling. You could just go to Ralph Lauren and find a really nice picture and use that as your reference photo. It doesn't have to necessarily be a proven winning ad, but that's gonna be the best use of your time, is using something that is already proven. So you're going to feed it into Claude and you ask for a very detailed prompt. I ask it for like, the type of lens and the focal length, lighting setup, lighting direction, depth of field, bokeh, background, the tone, styling, texture, contrast, composition, everything. I want it to be incredibly detailed. Okay. I want the prompt to be insane. It should be really long. And you also want to ask it to put in some guardrails to make sure that in the image generation process, the Chatgpt or Gemini, if you choose to use Gemini, doesn't add any product features, doesn't remove any product features, doesn't change the texture or the honestly anything about the product. The product needs to be unchanged so that you don't cross that line into false advertising. Okay, so we want to add guardrails to our prompts, and it will also save you a lot of time, because there's even with a good prompt, these image generation tools are going to make mistakes. So like even with an amazing prompt, I still get mistakes. Like I said, that I got that tree earlier. I also was creating images of a sweater product that we're selling, and it added a zipper that didn't exist, right? So even with the guardrails, you're still going to get errors. So you have to be very vigilant when you're reviewing the creatives that you come up with, to make sure that they're, the stitching doesn't change and all of that, right? And you want the color to be as true to the original, the source image as possible. You just want to build all that into your prompt to reduce the time that you waste in this process, because when it makes an error, you have to start over again, right? So we get our prompt from Claude, okay? And then we're going to feed that prompt plus a picture of your product, a nice clear picture of your product, into Chatgpt. And you can also run it, because it doesn't really waste any extra time doing this. If you have both tools, you have a subscription to Gemini and to Chat, you can plug your product and prompt into Chat and into Gemini and see which one gives you better results, and then kind of focus more of your time on that. For me, I've just been getting better results with Chat, so that's where I'm spending the most of my time, although I am still using Gemini every day, because I feel like the Gemini images actually come out a little bit more realistic if there's a model involved, but there's ways to kind of tweak Chatgpt to where the unrealistic aspects of models is not a problem. Cropping below the mouth. Like I feel like every time Chat makes an image with a model and it has the mouth, like it crops above the mouth, I feel like it looks more fake than below the mouth. So things that you'll just have to pay attention to. And Chat seems to be more receptive to micro adjustments in the prompt. So like say you want to make an adjustment like that, now crop below the mouth on this next variation of the image. A lot of times Chat will actually listen to you, whereas with Gemini, you make a micro adjustment to the prompt. A lot of times it just spits out the same picture over and over again, doesn't ever make a change. That's what I've been experiencing anyways. You might have a different experience. I'm just telling you what's been happening to me, and hopefully it saves you guys some time. If the image that you create doesn't meet your expectations, if it's not ideal, if it's not close enough to the winning creative that you're trying to replicate, You want to take that image that you just got out of Chat or Gemini, and you want to feed it back into Claude, that same conversation where you made the prompt, and say, hey, Claude, here's what I got. The lighting's not right, the focus isn't right, or it changed the pockets, or it changed the color, or it did something that I didn't like. I need you to revise the prompt accordingly. And then you want to go through this process again. And it might take 3, 4, 5, 6 revisions to get that prompt to where it's actually spitting out results that are consistently good. So you're going to be in this little loop here for a little while. So yeah, that would be step 4 is going through that process of just feeding that information back to Claude, and then taking that new prompt, creating new images, and then feeding that back to Claude, and just kind of going through that cycle. Okay. Next, the goal, generally speaking, is we're trying to create like maybe 10 new images for a product that we're scaling, or we just want to expand the creative library for that product in the ads, or our editors, our video editors, or our graphic designers need new content to make new ads. We would just kind of come up with like 10 new images during this process that we think are usable, and then feed that to our team, or just launch them plain as they are as ads. And so that's what we're looking for here. We'll generally launch like batches of 10 at a time. You can definitely do more, but I feel like a batch of 10, you'll usually, if the product is proven and you're using a proven winning creative as an example, you can usually expect like a 10 to 20% hit rate on these AI images. And you can make minor adjustments. So like you can change the race of the model, right? So you maybe have a white model, and then you use an Asian model and an African-American model. I've seen that work and make a difference in performance. You can change the color of the background. You can change, the color of the product if you have multiple colors of your product, whatever it might be. Just kind of come up with new ideas so that you have 10 new variations that you can then launch. You can put them all into, a single ad set or a couple ad sets inside a CBO. It doesn't really matter that much. Facebook is going to decide what it likes best and spend all the money on that anyways. But that's generally how we go through that process. So we're launching those products, analyzing the data, trying to pay attention to which AI images are performing the best, recreating more versions that are closer to that one that is working. So maybe a different variant starts popping off. Then we'll make more images of that variant, or maybe a certain background tends to work better with this product. So we kind of hone in on that, or maybe the race of the model starts to impact performance. And so we hone in on that. Just pay attention to performance and start feeding that information back to Claude to adjust the prompt further and dial it in more for that specific product to create more content and that you launch and so on and so forth, right? This is a cyclical thing. You're just going through this process over and over again. You can put headlines on these on the images. I wouldn't recommend AI doing that part. You can do it yourself or hire a graphic designer, but there's a lot of different ways to do this. And then the next part of this process is going to be taking your best performing images and turning them into videos. So we'll take the best performing image or images and give them to Claude and say, make me a video generation prompt for this specific image. And you want to come up with at least 3 clips. All right. And I think a lot of subscriptions on Veo are limited to like 3 generations a day, depending on if you're like buying extra credits or what plan you're on, whatever it might be. But most accounts are limited to about 3 8-second clips a day. So you want to use those wisely. Make sure you get a good prompt from Claude, generate 3 clips. You can stitch them all together yourselves, turn it into an ad, put some headlines, some text on there. Ask Claude for examples of like what kind of headlines and ad copy might go well with that video. And then you have some video ads that you can launch on Facebook and on TikTok and so on and so forth. So that's how this process looks. I'll kind of show you a little bit of how this goes. So I was playing around with a JSON prompt here, JS1 prompt. And this is what I came up with. You can see the guardrails, ethical requirements, images for commercial advertising purposes must be represented exactly as it exists in reality. Don't add features, remove features, so on and so forth. So I try to include that in my prompts for ads. And so I plugged that in here with this jacket. This is a product that we've seen scaled several times in the past. And so generally we'll be working with an image like this. And you can see right here, it actually it changed the stitching. So the guardrails didn't work. So it has like 2 stitches across the chest here. And then here it's got 4 or whatever. So it changed the product. So I regenerated it. Yeah, you can see 1, 2, 3 stitches, horizontal stitching, 1, 2, 3. So came out more accurate here. And so this is like an ideal style photo that we would use for an ad. We went from like a white background with some like shading or whatever to just a little bit more of a studio style shot. It looks pretty nice. It's a style that we've seen work in the past. So we would try that. And then let's say this image does really well. We can feed it back into Claude and ask for a prompt. And we've got our prompt here, and you can come up with some videos like this. You get 3 videos like this, different angles, different styles of videos, some close-ups, some zoom-ins. Claude will give you some great ideas, and you can stitch those together and make a pretty awesome video ad that is working for us quite well. So that is the workflow that we're currently using for making new creatives. It's quite easy, but it is a little bit of a pain. A little bit of a headache because these tools don't always work the way you want them to, and you got to be patient, and it can be a huge time waste. So I don't recommend doing this with every product. A lot of people are going to be tempted to do that, where they think like, oh, I'm going to improve my chances of this working because I'm going to tinker with a prompt and make the best picture ever. It's not really, I just haven't seen that be the case for anybody yet. So it's better to, if you're not familiar with our testing strategy for dropshipping products, I'd recommend watching my previous videos, go into it a bit. It's better to just test products first with the creatives that are available online already. And once a product is proven, it passes the testing phase, then you can start to add this to your scaling process. I feel like that's the best use of your time, my time, and you need to have some self-awareness while you're using these tools that you don't get sucked into them and waste an entire day or hours out of your day tinkering with prompts. Which reminds me, I'm gonna include a image generation prompt for you guys. It'll be posted in the free resources section of my Discord. So you just got to hop in there. It's completely free. You can even ask me questions in the general chat. We have a chat there for you guys. You can tag me. My username is JohnXPaul. Very easy to find. And if you have any questions about what I talked about in this video or anything in general, happy to talk to you guys and answer your questions there. So you'll see a link to the Discord in the description, and you can get the prompt that we use, one of the prompts that we use for image generation to tinker with. And thank you guys for sticking around. I know it's a little chaotic. It might seem a little disorganized, but that's just because things are changing so rapidly. We're just trying to keep up and trying to use the best tools for the best tasks. And so this is currently what's working best for me. We are hitting new winners on a very consistent basis using this workflow. So trust that it'll work for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.